I tell my girlfriends that are all going to become grandmothers for the first time, that's really the reason why we had kids, was so we get grandkids. What else? Traveling. I love to travel. I'm a goddess lover. I go all over the world and find ancient goddesses, ancient stone circles. I'm really into prehistoric history and what caused people to settle where they settled and make things such as stone circles, Stonehenge, Avebury, the big ones, but then some of the more obscure ones. I've been to a lot of countries in the world. Fortunately, I have a husband who likes to do those things too. He's gone on my travels with me half of the time, not all the time. Until COVID happened last summer, 2020, we've basically been going traveling every summer and sometimes another time during the year to check out cool stony things and goddess worlds. And I love this community. What can I say? I go and we're gone for a month or two or more at a time, and we come back. It's our home. We feel the home. We are trying to figure out ways that we can keep it whole, keep it holistic, and keep it connected and full of love, which is, of course, really challenging right now that we're speaking in this COVID time. But it's that inner feeling that I think we need to all hang on to and know that there is going to be the other side. And when we get to that other side, let's make sure that we have community and unity and love and connection there still, and not get that lost in the worriness of aging. Oh my God, what are we going to do? What's our economy doing? What are these strange people that are moving in here and there? How can we hold our own center that we created when we first got here, and eventually created when we first got here, and yet how can we also protect what we have and not, I don't know, it's a really fine line. And I think I like to remind people, if they ask about it, that it's not just our struggle. It's a struggle all over the world. I mean, communities I go to in so many different countries. I spend a lot of time in England, Ireland, Wales, Scotland, some time in Sweden, a little time in France, and everybody is going through this, whether they're in the city or the country, the division feelings, the us and them, the I have this much and I'm not quite sure if I want to share it, because then what if I don't have any left for later on, or for my family, or for my land, or for my community. So going out and trying to make it bigger, but also stay safe within our own selves, it's a huge question, and I obviously don't have the answer. I think we all try to muddle along as best we can and find the places that give us strength and protection. I know that I came from a very non-religious family. Both my parents had been very strictly Christianized in very oppressive ways, I felt like. And they broke out and did not want anything to do with that. And part of not wanting to have anything to do with that was have no religion for their 4 children. I mean, we never went to church. We never knew anything about anything, unless my grandparents came to visit, and then they dragged us to the nearby Presbyterian church for the Christmas service, which I loved. I remember feeling very fascinated by other friends' Catholicisms, and what do you do when you go to that Methodist church or whatever? And I checked it out a little bit, and then when I was 15, I met a man who introduced me to his Indian guru, Swami Muktananda, and I got to meet him and spend time with him, and I liked that path. That was kind of cool, and it was like really good singing, and I love to sing, so that was really interesting. And then that moved into meeting Amachi when she came in 1987 to Miranda. There were a few of us there that got to meet her and that are still her followers, devotees. I don't know, devotee is a strong word. I'd say more that I feel her in my life, and she's this guiding strength and center for me. Other people, and my husband included, feel her in a more strong way, and they go and see her in India all the time. I don't need to do that. I know she's there. She's like, I think what I've always said is, Amachi is my living goddess, because I'm always interested in the ancient goddess cultures of the world. To me, Amma is my living goddess. I have her here in the flesh. I can hug her, I can talk to her, I can give her pictures of my children and my grandchildren and say, here, take care of them. And she takes care of them, so I don't have to worry about it anymore, which is really supportive for me, something that I feel very strongly about. I know that when we all first moved here, and I was part of that group of people that happened to have Jared Rossman in it, and he said, oh, I was just in Mexico, toss some seeds out in the garden, and once the pot plants start growing, take out all the boys. This is how you figure out it. So that was the beginning of the Sensimilla, right, in the 70s. And we all thought, oh, that's kind of cool. And we started doing that. And we started getting these really sticky plants and stuff. And I've never been a consumer. It's just not something that I love. So that was never an angle for me. But cannabis has definitely paved our way. It's made it so that we could have the lifestyle that we have. And I have all grace and all appreciation to that plant, as they would say in England, the plant. But with all these years that have gone on and all this changes and tumultuous and the crazy green rush folks that came in, we were like, I don't think we ever saw that. I don't think, we were pretty blithe about it. Those hippies were just growing some pot. Oh, wow, it's worth that much. Oh, well, I'll grow a couple more plants next year. Oh, I grew a few more, and oh, now my land's paid off. That's pretty cool. I mean, I was in that group of people. Other people, and especially the next generation, took it to the bigger level. We're going to grow way more and do this indoor thing, which I've never really loved, never done. And we're going to make loads of more money, and then we can buy these really fancy houses. We just build a really fancy house right away, and we can go on these trips and all that. And that was never our thing. My personal thing was make enough to get by. We've both worked in town. I worked at Redway's Rural Health Center for 6 years. I worked at Music for Little People for 7 years. We've all done our thing that we could to get that paycheck and then just sort of make it by to buy, and then births. But of course, births were very cheap in those early days. Now we charge a reasonable amount. So we were always just trying to make it and get by, and that's how I saw it. But other people took it further. I'm nervous about this legalization. I've already been nervous about it because it has pushed us out, the people who are not going to go and buy those really expensive licenses and go through all that horrendous paperwork, which I've seen two of my kids do, and they've done it to their advantage, and it's been good for them, and they've been fine with it, and they're staying in good controls with it. We don't want to do that. So we just sort of gave it up for a while. We're going to see where it's at. Hopefully, Michelle Bushnell will vote for the little people, because we need it to be where we can just grow our CBD or our medicine and be able to offer it to the world, hopefully at a reasonable price where people can actually get by, and we can get by with it. I hope that we can all take hope from this time, which has been a really weird time. I know that we are all really tired of taking Zoom classes, teaching Zoom classes, doing Zoom workshops, doing Zoom singing. We've been doing Zoom everything. I help my grandkids do Zoom homework. It's like, we're all tired of that. Let's get to a place again where we can meet in person and do these things in person and hug again, and not feel nervous and not feel this tending to isolation. Our lifestyle already is fairly isolated. In some ways, it made it a little bit easier for us to have to isolate. But in other ways, it's further isolated us. And that is a little bit scary for me. I feel like we need to take the lessons that we've learned that could be really good and positive and valuable from this interesting COVID time that is really stretching out, and bring them to use in our regular life when we get to go back to regular life and hug each other and not wait in those long Chautauqua lines, and cross the street when we see somebody that's not wearing a mask, and ask our grandkids a million questions of where they were this week. Can I hug you or not? It's so weird. It's so unusual. I hope it ends soon. That was fun.